When I
Fun.
see your podcast, it makes me
Yeah.
smile. I go, Jamodi lives. And I know what's funny is somebody will give somebody credit. And I said, God, I said, let me tell you, we got good documentation in the Brownfield News and others in the summer of '82 and what the word meant because they revealed it what it was. And I stole all of that. All year, Jamodi, what does it mean? You're going to find out. What does Jamodi mean? You're going to find out. And then one pregame, I think we were probably going to play Alamo Heights. I said, I'm going to tell you what Jamodi means. And today, when you have a play and you have a chance, it's just a matter of doing it.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. Today we're joined by former high school basketball coach and current Boerne ISD athletic director, Stan Leech. Coach Leech was selected to the Texas High School Basketball Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2025, honoring 32 seasons, which included 833 career wins, captured 12 district championships, and made 27 playoff appearances. He spent 22 seasons at Boerne and 10 seasons at Champion before retiring from coaching in 2018. Coach Leech was also recognized by the UIL on its top 100 Texas high school basketball coaches list, placing him among the state's most historic and impactful coaches. Coach Leech also does an outstanding job of sharing the true origins of the word Jamodi. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Welcome to the Ballology app Ultimate Demo. Trusted by leaders in the game. Ballology is a player development platform built for coaches and players alike. You can expect live shot tracking, workout libraries, and AI insights. You can easily chart team shooting drills in practice or in training sessions. Track all of those shots using an iPhone or an Android device in real time. You can view your team's performance through a video archive or by using our shot charts. After every shooting workout, take a look at your breakdown by viewing your percentages and your shot locations. Let's take a deeper look to learn how to make the most out of the Ballology app. Let's see how you measure up in the Ballology Skills Assessment, where you can test your shooting skills versus other shooters worldwide. Navigate to Ballology AI, where you can ask any question to get answers in real time for smarter training.
Make that footwork a little more sharp.
Coaches or players can create custom workouts in just minutes. Fit your on-court skills or basketball IQ or even strength and conditioning. It can be done on the Ballology app. Compete with everything you do on the Ballology app through our workout leaderboards. Elevate your game with the Ballology app. Download it for free today.
One thing that's interesting with you is I've been getting to do this podcast now for 4 years, and there are some names that just keep coming up from other people again and again and again. And Coach, yours is one of those names where they just all they seem to have a connection to you or a story about you. And so after 32 years of coaching, all the wins, all the state playoffs and Hall of Fame, that's just, again, just can't wait to do this.
Well, Matt, thank you. And I appreciate the kind words on the intro. Thank you.
Jamodi, to me, I heard it in 7th grade, and I still remember we're at a camp up in Pennsylvania, and we're doing skill work, and the guy's teaching us a drill, and he goes, "Guys, it's Jamodi. It's Jamodi." And all of us little kids are looking around like, "What is he saying? Like, what word is that?" And finally, somebody had the nerve to ask, "Coach, what does that mean?" And he said, "It's just a matter of doing it." Coach, I took that as like a personal mantra to me all throughout my playing career. It was what I named my skill workouts when I was young. And then when I started about doing this or thought about doing this, I was like, what could the title be for coaches and everything? It's Jamodi. And then when talking with you, you have an experience with Jamodi, and you're probably the first person that I've ever met too. So I can't wait to hear this story.
Well, the story is the genesis starts with, and that's the reason why it probably can't be trademarked and all that stuff because it came from Nike's Just Do It. So back in the early 80s when they were doing their Just Do It, a tennis coach in Brownfield, Texas, named Verdi Montgomery. And the player, they worked the city pool, and the year was 1982. And they were just making up, the players were working with him at the swimming pool. They said, let's make up a word that fits what we're going to be this year. Well, this boy named Derek McClure, I believe, um, came up with it, and they owned it. That's what they were. I picked it up in an article in the Brownfield newspaper. I was reading it. I'm from Brownfield. I was sitting in Stephenville, Texas, at the Tarleton Arms Apartments. I read it and went, wow, that's powerful, because it's a fun word. It was also in the years of Jumanji. Remember that Robin Williams movie?
Yeah.
Um, so then Verdi put it on everything in the early 80s. There's t-shirt proof, and so it's well documented. Then I held on to it, going, man, one day I'm going to use that. And then when I was working TABC camps, I started wearing it. And so this is mid 80s, late 80s. And then in 1993, as a gift, the team gave me a personalized license plate. And I've owned it since the 1993 athletic banquet. And so I've got great documentation. I asked Verdi, I said, have you ever thought about making it your own? And he said, we did originally. However, the Nike people, there was no way. There was not a path for it. They didn't think. And so that's my story. And then I took it to Lonnie Gaylor. There's a lot of people that have basically called it their own. And then Bernie also said, it was kind of a gift. He said, because there was not a real good route to own it, because there was documentation that they did derive it from Just Do It. He go, man, we got to do something like Just Do It. And then they couldn't do that. So then they said, hey, what about we make up a word that's similar? And there you go. And through the years, Carla will say, do you want to keep the license plate? And my kids, my daughter, who now is 42 and high school counselor and all, and he goes, oh yeah, that's forever. And so even when I'm gone one day, I think they'll probably keep my driver's license, and so they can get that license plate. It's cool in town. The good news is people know when I'm coming, and the bad news is people know when I'm coming. So, but
That would
that's
have been so
Jamodi.
much
And when I
fun.
see your podcast, it makes me
Yeah.
smile. I go, Jamodi lives. And I know what's funny is somebody will give somebody credit. And I said, let me tell you, we got good documentation in the Brownfield News and others in the summer of '82, and what the word meant, because they revealed it what it was, and I stole all of that. All year, Jamodi, what does it mean? You're gonna find out. What does Jamodi mean? You're gonna find out. And then one pregame, I think we were probably gonna play Alamo Heights. I said, I'm gonna tell you what Jamodi means. And today, when you have a play and you have a chance, it's just a matter of doing it. And, then- and,
Awesome.
that- and so I do that stuff at camps, and I would never tell anybody what it meant, when I was speaking to new people. But it's a cool deal, and you've done very, very well with it.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to get to keep that name going, and I just never knew where it came from, Coach. So if nothing else, this talk has been incredible because I got to learn where that word has meant so much to me over the years. When I heard it, and think about that, Coach, I heard it in Pennsylvania at a
Oh, I know.
basketball camp, so it's traveled. Like it's all over the place.
Jamodi has traveled, and I always defend Verdi. And then people ask me, why didn't you do something with it? I said, well, because I stole it from Verdi Montgomery. I said, it's not mine. I mean, I didn't, I can tell you exactly, I've already told you. I was reading the Brownfield News. Don't worry. Verdi's got good documentation. If anybody tries to claim it, I'll sick Verdi Montgomery on them because,
Oh, I'm
and
so
no one
thankful.
has, and then when he's claimed it, and people have tried to challenge it, they go, "Yeah, he won. It's Verdi's. Yep, no one can date past the early '80s."
Well, I was born in '82. So for me
Well,
to
it
claim
it
it,
it may have
that's tough.
started on the day you were born, but
That's
it's
right.
that's the obvious start is the summer of 1981, 82. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so glad that I never tried to claim it, because I never knew where it came from. And over the years, I mean, I even started to do some Jamodi when I was way younger, just started coaching some Jamodi basketball camps
Yeah.
and so just at some like Flower Mound High School. And I was doing some different things with it. And people that were close to me said, man, you should trademark that. And I just thought, I don't know how to do that. But also I know I didn't come up with this. Like I know that. And so, but what if I would have just come out and said, yeah, listen, this is Jamodi podcast. It's a word I made up. I would have had you driving to my house, and then we'd come out, you point to the license plate, and
I would have I said, I've had this since the spring of '93, and I go, and I'm the nice guy. Wait till Verdi Montgomery finds that you claim it, because I stole it from him 10 years ago.
yeah,
That
so I
that
hope
every
I hope
now and then,
yeah,
that's why this is so funny, because that's what people would tell me. Oh man, you're on to something. I say, well, let's give a disclaimer. I'm not on to nothing. Verdi Montgomery, and then no one's been able to, when Verdi claims it, there's no opponents challenging him, and because it's well documented. Yep.
I hope that he and you feel like I've just been trying to honor the name, not take it as my own or anything, because that has been I would love for him to feel good about the fact that the Jamodi podcast is out there. I hope he does.
But he's an awesome. So in Wiley, the name of the Montgomery Center, Wiley, Texas. He had a tremendous career as a tennis coach
Mm,
and also as administrator. But in Wiley ISD in Texas, that new center, it's called the Montgomery. It's named after Bertie Montgomery.
that's
And
cool.
I dare anybody walk up to him, because they'll be sorry they did. He'll give them an hour dissertation how and then they'll ask him, and he'll go, "We tried," and Nike said, "Bring it on." And so I
You're
don't
not
know
going to win
how
that
hard they
battle.
tried. They just did enough investigation to know that they didn't want any Nike, especially back in those days. Yeah.
Yeah. Coach, over the years, I work MG basketball camps with a guy named Matt Garnett. Do you know him?
Oh yeah, we all know Matt.
Okay. Yeah.
He
So,
worked girls TABC.
yeah. So Matt Garnett and I he's been doing MG. I always joke and say he's the MG of MG basketball camps. And so I've been partnered with him now probably for 12, 15 years in these camps. And we've kind of gone to we obviously do some skill work, but then we also do some classroom work where we talk about different things. He does a lot with ball screens and a lot with skill, and then I kind of bring in, and I'm going to use the word, but the culture word, and it's more really standards, but it's all about it's you and I were talking before we got on here about that word, and I feel the same way. I view culture as more of the standards and pillars that we live by, but it is important. But I've used Jamodi as a roadmap for these players because early on, just a matter of doing it to me made a lot of sense. Like it's a Saturday morning. I don't want to work out, but it's just a matter of doing it, and I love that part of it. And then as I got older, I kept using it, and then I'm starting to work with these kids, and we frame Jamodi as what it stands for, but then also sometimes it's not as easy as that because if it was just a matter of doing it, I would have been in the NBA. right? But sometimes there's some
That's good.
factors there that are difficult or some things that are outside of your control. What do you do with those things? And so I broke Jamodi up, and I hope he doesn't mind. It's still just a matter of doing it, but I took every letter. And so when I go through with my athletes, we talk about J is joy. Joy is better than happiness. It's longer lasting. It gives you staying power. And then we say the A is attitude. Attitude is what you choose to bring to something. Nobody can give you a bad attitude. And then M is motivation. Every challenge that you come at, it'll show you how badly you want something. O is opportunity. It's kind of like what Giannis said. There's no failures in sports. They're all steps to success. And then D is determination. And then I is impact. And impact, we are actually here for others. How can we wake up every day and make somebody else's life better? And I thought that's like a good, thanks, coach. That's like a
Awesome.
good way it is just a matter of doing it. Now, how can we actually approach each day as a player and as a person? And I feel like it's been really fun to take players through that over the years.
Ah, that's beautiful. I had not heard that. And that's kind of circles back to my disdain for the word culture. The reason is because people don't even think about it. What do you mean? And I've been an athletic director and been fortunate to be the athletic director in Boerne since 1999. So I have interviewed a lot of people, and we've had several football, hires, and just been very fortunate in who we have hired and been able to hire. And I just laugh every time we're going to change the culture. And then word has now traveled. Don't say that C word to Leach, and especially in Boerne. I go, if you're just going to use the C word and think that's going to get you past, what do you mean by culture? Well, just we're going to change the culture. Well, how are you going to change it? I mean, tell me what culture. And
Show
so
me
I
what
said,
you've done
and I
before.
always
Right.
tell, I
Yeah.
always say, here are some better words. You're going to change the environment. You're going to change the atmosphere. You're going to change the mindset. You're going to change the work ethic. You're going to change the values. You're going to change the team dynamic, and you're going to change the team identity. And of course, I can talk about this stuff all day long. And of course, we're in our 40th year at Boerne and 44th year overall. And I just tell them, I said, expectations, attitudes, habits, communication style, accountability style, values, our core beliefs, team dynamics, and then what's our vision and our purpose. And I challenge all of our coaches as, first of all, we're not going to be lazy. We're not going to just use the C word, and act like that's going to cover everything. Because just like I mean, you gave me a sermon, you gave me an article about you had this word, and we know what it stands for from the beginning, but then you identified and gave it life to what it really means. Joy. What is joy? And then, and that's the same thing we are with culture. It's funny when I changed the culture in Boerne in 1990. Well, I really didn't. I tell you who changed the culture: David Shivers, Robbie Shivers, because they were players. So what was funny, when you have great players, there's something I've never heard anybody claim we changed the culture that was 2-8. But you could change the culture and be 2-8. It's
It's
always,
good.
we're
Yeah.
going to come in here and change the culture. Well, we're only as good as our best player, Matt.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more true with football because it's so quarterback led. In basketball, it's always been, I mean, I wouldn't be here today talking to you if it wasn't for David Shivers and Robbie Shivers and Eric Haugenself. And it's funny, years that were got bumped in the playoffs, and I never claimed that we had a good culture, but boy, when we were rolling, winning 30 plus games, what is it? Well, it's the culture. So I told him, I said, we're going to outlaw that C word, and we're gonna go. What did we do? Well, they came in the summer. We
Yeah.
had a full gym. We we were in the weight room. We came and shot, or what did you really do? We encouraged each other. We weren't sarcastic. And so what did you do? And tell us what you did. And you can use any word besides the dreaded, horrible C word. There you go. There's your sermon, Matt.
I'm right with you. That even that question that, when people are coming on here and I send this list of questions that kind of give me a roadmap, and some coaches like to have a little bit of a plan where they know what's coming instead of coming into something that, what are we going to talk about? What's going to happen here? So I think there's two reasons for those questions, but I really don't like having the how does culture drive performance question because of that word. And I think if let's just say at different paths and I was to interview with you, I think I would be okay if I came in and said, listen, we are going to have a great culture, but I don't really like talking about that. I think it's more about how we're going to show up every day. And here's how we're going to show up every day. I think you would have really appreciated that. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
would have been, in some way, I would have gotten the job, not even knowing that. But you're right. Every college coach, when they're at the podium, they say the same things. We're going to have a great culture and we're going to play fast. Like those two things. And it is one of those so right now I'm just starting out at Midway High School in Waco. It's my first in 12 years, and in Faith, we had really good standards. And the guys showed up and every day a certain way that I think made it a fun environment where they worked really hard. That didn't happen in a second. Like that didn't happen in one workout or 1 week. And we really stacked good days, good weeks, good months, good years on top of each other. But it's unique now going into another place. I have to do my best not to compare or not to have expectations of what these guys should be like when it's brand new, and give them time, give myself time. But coach, that's harder. That's easier said than done.
Amen. Well, winning is the great deodorant. And a lot of times, because we're using deodorant, the environment the stink's covered up. And then sometimes when you're not winning, you don't have deodorant. And, a lot of times people look at things and make up things that are really there. With all the years I look back on it, our best team environment, our best team mindsets, we're not always the most winning team. Most winning teams, a lot of times, simply because just had most talent. Now, the best successful teams had the best talent and then had people that were unselfish. Now, the culture guys would go, well, it's because we had a culture. Well, no, it's because you had a dude. And then you had unselfish people that were willing to fill a role so the team could be well. But get that C word out of your head. What do you mean? Well, because in basketball, especially when there's only 5 players, you could have the best environment, best mindset, best work ethic. But if you don't have, especially in 5A and 6A, if you don't have players, there's a ceiling. There just is. Now, yeah, you can upset somebody and you can go on a little roll, but in Texas, with so many rounds, eventually the most talented teams are going to win. And especially now with 2 state championships in each classification, I absolutely love that because I believe it was 4A where two of the best teams have crowns instead of one of them having crown, one not. And the state is so huge and large. I'm glad that we are honoring 12. Football's had 12 state champions for 38 years. And so finally, all of the sports are getting 12 state championships. And I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that we're doing.
Great points there. One was about earlier on how you can change the standards, the environment, and still lose. Like that's possible. And I think the danger is only getting our value in winning. And so whether you're at a program that's established and it's really good and you win every year and that is the standard, or you're taking over a place, or it's a year where the talent just isn't there. I think we need to have an overarching theme to our programs that's bigger than winning, so that if you're losing, you can still be building the standards and creating that environment that's healthy, where players like to be, where they feel like they're getting better. But sometimes, coach, like, it's possible you can do everything right and not win.
Absolutely. Especially in 5A and 6A, when you have 9 teams in your district, you could get fifth, not make the playoffs, and your program could be more healthy than the team that puts on the medal. Those are things that coaches have to. Everything's a pyramid. Everything's a pyramid, whether we like it or not. Everything's a pyramid, and so the foundation of the house has to be taught. Okay, guys, winning is up here. However, what's most important is that we're walking out of here and then spelling out how you define Jamodi is it's incredible. I mean, that's excellent. And because what you've done is you've identified what it is without using the C word. I'm going to go back to press conferences. I laugh. I go, we're paying these guys millions upon millions, and they don't have anybody that goes, hey, come here. Could you not use the C word? Could you not? Could you? I mean, don't they have a speechwriter or somebody to tell them, could you think of something else? And I love it. I want one time somebody nowadays interview for a football job and go, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to hit. We're going to run the ball and not use the C word. And I think we might hire him on the spot. Going, how refreshing somebody's got their own mindset. And yeah, because now everybody, okay, we're going to sling it. We're going to throw the ball. We're going to sling it. And we're going to change the culture. Well, boy, that was what'd you do? You see that on YouTube 2 minutes ago? You want somebody that's themselves and that comes in and identifies what they mean by doing things the way they feel a leader should be. That's so refreshing. And that means we're not going to be late. And if we're late, we're going to hold you accountable. And when you get a foul called on you and you make a face, we're going to hold you accountable. When you cuss, we're going to hold you accountable. Now, the C word guys, that's what they mean, but they're lazy. And we don't know when they use that word, we don't know what they mean because they don't all mean it the same way. Some of it means we're going to get in the weight room. Some of it means we're going to play multiple sports if you're in a smaller school district. And so that's why we don't use that word. If we do, we go, okay, now you're in trouble. Now we're going to have a conversation and you can use any word besides that C word.
I think that's huge. And whether you're going into an interview or meeting with your families for the first time or your players for the first time, if you have 3 keys, let's just take 3 keys, and one of them is we're going to focus on the culture. Okay, the next 15 to 20 minutes has to be, like you said, not just defining what that is, but outlining. To me, it's kind of like if people say we really value skill development. We're all about developing our players. Awesome. Like, I think that's great. I mean, we started playing this game
Mhm.
not to win championship. We started playing this game when we were young because it was fun throwing that ball up there and trying to do things with it. And so but then we know that building those players up ultimately will rise everybody up, our offense, our IQ, everything. So, but when they say that, show me, show me with your time. How are you going to do that? What amount of time do you get? Is there 45 minutes blocked off every day, no matter what day it is, for individual development? And what is because not all work is equal. So what is your individual development? Are they just getting in lines and shooting? Or, hey, make 5 at a spot and then jog in? Show me what you're doing. And the same thing with culture. Show me the daily habits. Tough Tuesdays where they get together and they face each other for 15 to 20 seconds and they share something tough in their life. Wisdom Wednesdays, Thursday, Fridays, IUE talks. Like, show me the things that you're going to do, or else you're right, coach. Like, you're just trying to check a box because that's what everybody thinks they need to say. It would be refreshing to say, we're going to have standards. Here are standards, and here's how we're going to build them. We're going to play
Oh,
fast. Here's how we're going to do it. And here's the mindset we're going to have. We're going to shoot every available 3, and we're not going to care how many misses. I don't know.
I love it. And that's what being athletic director, this will be my 27th year. That's what I want. Everybody wants sincerity, people to be genuine, someone just to identify what they're going to do. And I love you talking about skill work. Now, the deal with skill work, it's a pyramid builder because you're not going to win as many games because that's 45 minutes you're using for the future. It's not going to help you, but the guys that want to win quick, they're working on set plays, they're working on game stuff right now, and they're repeating. They may have 10 inbounds, 10 side outs. Well, that's going to help them win more now. Guess what? If they're not taking their vitamins for 45 minutes, eventually we're going to have problems. And that's when you tell the parents, because parents want to hear, what are you going to do for them? Parents are selfish because all they care about is the most important person in their family, the child playing for you. And they all, of course, at the end of the day, all they care about is playing time. 99.9% of the world's problems. If you want world peace, figure out a way that everybody gets to play. Well, that's called intramurals, and nobody likes intramurals. So 99.9% of the world's problems are playing time. Now, the parents come in, they disguise it as, well, you're not making him feel good. Then they'll use the word C word, and I'll
Confidence
say,
is low. His
no,
confidence is
no, they
low.
don't feel good about it. He comes home and he wants to quit. And those are things, how you work on them, you identify, this is how we're doing it. Well, if his confidence is not high, he needs to get in the gym and shoot more. I'll tell you how to improve somebody's confidence. It's get here an hour before, stay an hour later, and then go home. That confidence is built by players putting in the work. And you said it better than I did, is that some of them, they could do that, and there's a ceiling. For Stan Leech back at Brownfield High School, there was a ceiling because I put in the work, but there was a ceiling. But we're wanting each student to have their ceiling. What's their ceiling? And you do that. And then communication. Nowadays, our parents, because back in our day, my parents didn't need to know all that stuff. But nowadays, they got to know what time you're leaving. Are you going to feed them before maybe are they going to go to temple on an empty stomach? I mean, and that's important. And I tell coaches, you've got the ones that have the least problems are ones that over communicate to parents and also really work at doing the best they can to make sure the students leave each day. People don't eat at the kitchen table anymore, but
Yep.
those unhappy kids, they find mama at the refrigerator or on the way to Chick-fil-A, let me tell you.
A small nugget, but I definitely want to celebrate a guy named Nick Smith, most people know Coach Smith at Kimball. He's done an incredible job there. But when I was able to go and spend some time with him and his players a few years ago now, and I walked into his office and he had just rows of protein bars and some snacks and things. And I was like, golly, like their coaches are just eating a ton of stuff. But no, as the bell was ringing, guys were coming in and just grabbing a bar. But when they did that, they had to give him a fist bump and they had a little interaction. And, meeting with players is such it's so important. And I think so many of us hope that it happens, hope that we have time. I've eliminated that. I borrowed from Tyron Lee his 10-minute meeting idea where we're going to schedule these 10-minute meetings. You and I both have a time and a date that we're going to meet together. And that's been really helpful. But the idea of they come in and I asked him about that. He's like, God, some of these guys they don't have a lot of food. Like they don't know exactly where that next meal is going to come from or when. But even from a environment standpoint, I think that's a really good way though to have another positive touch away from the court with your players. So at midway, my goal is to have some snacks, some food in that locker room for those guys, and they got to come in, give me a fist bump, and then we'll get them some protein. Coach, I'd love to ask with the how many years of coaching? 32,
Yeah, I
32
was
years of
32
coaching.
in Boerne and
Yeah.
2 in Yorktown as the head coach. I was a head
Okay.
basketball coach for 34 years.
34 years, and then as a athletic director since you said 99?
99, so I'm going into my 27th year as the
Wow.
district athletic director.
Yeah, you have sat in front of and been around so many coaches, and you've been able to see those that are transformational and those guys and even I also want to say congratulations, 2021, one of the top 20 coaches, greatest coaches in UIL. That's incredible. So I wanted to tell you congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Not
That
that you
that
needed me to, but
No, thank you.
and then the Texas Hall of Fame this summer, this
Yeah,
spring.
that's pretty cool. We
Um,
really embraced that and had a good time, Matt. Thank you.
yeah. What characteristics have you seen that are maybe common or show up again and again and again in these great coaches that you've been around?
First of all, it's got to be a ministry. You have to feel that you've got a purpose, and your purpose is to make others feel better and so that they can do the best they can. One of your goals must always be that when you leave a room, that you really tried to make the people that you leaving in the room feel good about yourself, about themselves. And those are things that, you always work on things that we can do. And of course, being in Boerne, starting our 40th year, we decided, of course, when I went in '86, it was going to be there for a cup of coffee and to, greater and bigger things. But what happened was we started winning, and then eventually there wasn't a better place. We were Region 4, we're 4A. We had people that loved basketball, had great leadership, and a lot of things. There's just places that have good people. I mean, we were fortunate with school boards that didn't have agenda. I mean, can you imagine 40 years? Well, the reason was I worked for good people. And back when I got the job, obviously you can do math, Matt. So I'm turning 65 on June 18th. So they hired me at 25. Now, if you don't think they haven't given me a lot of grace through the years, man, I can tell you countless times where I had blockers that took care of me. And just by my favorite quote of all time, all but by the grace of God goes John Bradford. I mean, all but by the grace of God go I. And a lot of times that's the first thing, and it's written by, die to self. And that works because sometimes basketball coaches come in and they'll have people that ADs that go, okay, we're going to do universal off season. Well, I can't win with that. Well, why can't you? Because the guys that always land on their feet are the guy, okay, I can't control that. That's my boss today. He came in, and I'm going to value that. I'd rather my family needs me to stay here. It's better for my family. It's better for my kids to go, you know what? Why can't I win with universal off season? Or why don't I? Okay, we're going to do it, and and you go in and coach, but then too many times go, well, I can't do it, and they just leave, and then you see these people that that have been in 10 different places. And because that personality, let me tell you, there's always going to be a universal off season somewhere. And that's just a figure of speech, is there's always going to be something. And the ones with the healthy mindset, and so of course, being in Boerne 40 years, there were some things that new leadership came in, and I go, you know what? Shoot, might be a good idea. And most of the time, even the criticism that my, big opponents through the years, what's bad is half of what they were saying most of the time was true. It was something I needed to work on. Now, they had an agenda why they wanted me to do it. However, through the 40 years, each time I was getting criticism, I went, it's kind of like the movie All Presidents that old Douglas was in, and they got mad at him because he wouldn't defend himself, and then he's talking to the opponent, his wife in that movie. I'm blank right now, and he said, "Tell me, what one of the things is he saying that's not true?" And so I
Yeah.
love that, and I've used it for my old life. I go, so first of all, I'm getting criticism. Okay, so which one of those things is not true? And most of the time, I'll give it at least half. Most of the time, it's like, you know what, right? I can work on that. But the guys that have a shelf life, and all of us have shelf lives at different places, and some places the shelf life's shorter and longer. But a lot of the ones that have short shelf lives everywhere, they're about 2-3 year guy. And the reason is because it's all about them. And the reason is they don't go, you know what? That's probably good for me. Through the years in Boerne, we've had people come from the outside to try to get us up to modern day standards. And I have gone, you know what? Thank you. Yeah, we probably should have done that about 5 years ago, but I'm glad you showed up, because now I got to do it. And I was really truthful. Yeah, and we do need to have better handbooks. We need to have better standards. And so those are the guys that live a long time in this profession.
Mentioned right off the bat about ministry, and I was fortunate enough to move down from Pennsylvania to Texas and play for Tommy Thomas at the Colony,
Yeah,
which you remind
yeah.
me of him a lot. I hope you take that as a compliment. I hope
Oh,
he
are
takes
you
that as a
kidding?
compliment.
No,
And
no, of course. Thank you. Yeah.
the way you guys communicate and you can feel just your passion and care. But you mentioned a calling and how you wanted guys to feel good about themselves. Coach T, I feel like did that better than anybody I've almost ever been around, where he had this thing he would do, and I can't do it, coach. It just doesn't it's not authentic for me. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound right. I've tried it. I think it comes off just weird, but he would go, "Matt, how are you today?" I'm like, "Coach, I'm doing okay." "Why aren't?" "Of course you are. Like, look at you. You know, you're a great player. You got friends, you're smart, you're good looking, you work, yeah." He would just rattle off all these things, and by the end of it, I think, yeah, like I am though. Like he just made me feel, better, bigger. I think some guys have that, not that he didn't work at it, but some guys have that natural ability to do that. How do you cultivate that? How do you create that feeling with your players that they feel better when they're around you every day?
First of all, I'm going to go back on his comment to you. He made it personal. So you knew that he meant, instead of just having some little line. And then I laugh, or you maybe think of this new one that comes out when people go, "How you done? Better than I deserve." I say, "Oh, hush. Golly. Oh, man, can you not
You're
come up with
blessed to be
something better
stressed.
than
Yeah.
better than I deserve?" I go, "Well, you deserve a lot. What are you talking about?" I go, "Get away from me. You talk about one. I think that's culture's number one. Number two is this self-deprecating. Better than I deserve. I don't deserve much." I said, "Well, then guess what? I'm playing. I'm going with somebody else on this committee than better than I deserve." But anyway, so when you said that, I went, I need to introduce them to Tommy's deal is, no, you deserve a lot. You got this, you got that, you got that.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Get your head up, boy. Anyway, back to the question, Matt, is how you can imagine 40 years there'd be several players that didn't feel that way. And I think we also got to give ourselves grace sometimes, as long as we're always marching the same direction, because we're not going to touch everybody. And we can't think we are. And then when you get comments from people, they really truly go, well, you can imagine being in the same town I've been in for 40 years. I'm walk into a restaurant and go, oh, those aren't my people. Those are my people. And I'm going to go say hi to the ones that aren't, just to make their lives miserable for today, that I went and said hi to them. But the deal is we attempt to connect to everybody, but we don't beat ourselves up because they're just, we just don't, not everybody's thing. And it's amazing. I'll write an article or do a talk and I'll think, man, I knocked it out of the park. And then not receive much, going, well, you know what? I don't think I did. And then it's amazing. Somebody months later, it will connect. Something I would have said or written would connect to them. And I went, hey, there's a win. I do like the new saying that people use a lot, and I like it. Take the win. And I really like that. It's a new thing that people say that I like, and it's saying, hey, you're too busy worrying about what you don't have, and this happened. Well, take the win. And now let's continue on, but let's take the win today. And I know back in the day, people would say there's no such thing as moral victories. And so we need to recant it, but because with some teams there are. I like the word moral. So we're going, there are things that we should say as coaches. We did this, we were up, we lost in the last minute because we couldn't foul and we don't have a shot clock and all that stuff. Yeah, but take the win, because in a pyramid, you got to get close before you get there. And I was in Boerne our first year. We're 11-19, just moved up to 4A when there was only 5A. So that was like a 5A school now. And we were 11-20. And then the next year we're 19-12, but we lost our last 5 games because we weren't ready for end of game stuff. Next year we're 25-8, and next year we played for a state championship, lost to Dallas Lincoln state championship. I tell you that 4 years is there was things that occurred in year 1, 2, and 3 that didn't happen in year 4 because we touched the stove and got burnt and had to learn stuff. Because everything in coaching is touching the stove. I mean, eventually you touch the hot stove and you go, whoa, better not do that again. And some of us have higher tolerance for touching the stove than others.
You touched on something that I saw. Caitlin Clark did a video. She was talking with some type of mental performance coach, but he asked her a question. He said, how do you handle praise? He said, how do you like handling praise? And she said, oh, I like it. Like how do you like praise? And she said, I like it. I enjoy when I hear that. And he said, how do you handle blame? She said, well, I don't like that as much. I don't like hearing that, feeling that. He said, how you handle praise will create how you handle blame. And I thought, whoa, like if I'm out there looking for craving praise, it's going to hurt that much more when the blame comes because I want that, but I don't get it. And this feels so much worse. So what's the answer is handle both the same. Handle both. Praise, I'm gracious, I'm humble, I stay right here. Perspective, right? And then blame, I also stay right here. I'm not as bad as I think I am right now. I keep that perspective as well. When you were talking about that, that immediately brought that to my mind. And then the savior complex that I think we can have sometimes as coaches. Without realizing it, we think we can change everyone. And my beautiful bride, Miss Jana, had great advice to me years ago when I came home, and there's just a player at Faith that we're just butting heads. I don't know what to do, and I've even tried to appeal to the faith aspect for him and everything, and she said, "Matt, it's not your job to save him." Okay,
Try.
then I gotta let that go, and so thankful for her and those
Well,
reminders.
I love what she said. And I think, of course, it's biblical. The perfect number 7. You may be touch number 1. It takes everybody 7 touches. And whether that's literal or figurative, it's a great mindset as a believer that we may not, we're going to plant trees we don't get shade, and we're going to dig wells we don't get to drink water from. And it's not our job to worry about it. We just really check ourselves at the gate to make sure that we're trying our best. And sometimes we make mistakes. Oh, my 40 years. Oh, man, like I said, they gave me lots of grace. And there was a lot of close calls that I'm thankful that I had people that took care of me during those times.
Coach, before I get you out of here, speed round. These are gonna be quick questions.
I'm
First
good.
thing that
Let's
pops in
let's
your
have
head.
fun. Thank you. We've
All right.
done good.
Okay. Favorite ice cream flavor?
A chocolate chip mint.
Greatest shooter of all time?
Pete Maravich.
Coach? That's it. I love when Pistol Pete gets recognized.
How can he
That's it.
not? I mean, what are we
He he
what are we
averaged
doing?
44 without a three-point line. Would have been
A
50.
3-point line, and then all these naysayers that just it's Pete because in bullet round, Pete go.
Did you stand up or sit down mainly in games?
I was all stand up, never sat down.
Can you tell me why?
Because one, I was nervous. I think is a good. Well, that's why. Because I felt better walking around, and then when I tried to sit down, and then one year I stood up in Boerne forever, and one year all those preseason tournaments, you're trying to teach your team lessons, and all that. Well, they weren't listening to me, so I just sat down. I was pouting because they weren't minding. And then I had a mother come to me and go ask me what's wrong. I'm fine. And I said, "Hey, well, you just quit on them. You just look like you just quit on them." I didn't quit on them. I said, "It's November the 15th. Give me a
Perspe
chance."
that
Yeah.
perception that
I
they
go,
had.
it's
Yeah.
November 15th. Where this doesn't matter. And so no, I stood because, well, so I could react. And one, that's how I stayed my personality. That's how I stayed aware of what's going on. Sitting, you can get, I don't know. I've always admired those that could sit and not react to everything. I wasn't that guy.
Steve Kerr is a guy that I really enjoy watching and listening to. Maybe not on the political side, but on the basketball side. I'll edit that out. But he talked about he stands and sits randomly so as there's never a pattern to what he's doing. Because I noticed even in just in my own coaching that I wouldn't yell at them for missing an open shot, but I would go sit down, and so there's almost like a pattern that happens there. All right. Top 3 dinner guests, any time period.
Billy Graham, John F. Kennedy, and because he's from Texas, Lyndon Baines Johnson. Because wouldn't that be cool? Billy Graham, because that's my time period. And because Lyndon Baines Johnson, I mean, I know I picked 2 Democrats, but I just loved what they did. And that's my historical standpoint. I think it'd be cool to have the guy that knew them all, that should be everybody's role model in leadership, is Billy Graham. I mean, unbelievable what he did without, they can't even make up anything bad to say about it. And they've tried and they
Which is
can't.
refreshing. Yeah.
They can't. They've tried for forever. And then John F. Kennedy, because of the Irish roots and because of what Joseph, and whether, we're not going to go about how they did it, but they did it. And then I love Rose Kennedy's favorite verse that she said all the time too, when they'd spin it for public service, Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much will be required. And then Lyndon Baines Johnson, just so you'd have somebody cussing at the lunch, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, he was a hot mess. But his roots were in South Texas, and he went to Southwest Texas Teacher School at the time, and he had a servant's heart. He really did. He may have lost his way at the end in some places, but a lot of that servant heart was genuine. Yeah, he had a plan, but I think that would be cool. A lot of people bring up different deals and go, "Oh, it's easy." Graham, Kennedy, and Johnson.
Your favorite basketball movie of all time?
Hoosiers. Hoosiers. It's biblical. It's the greatest thing ever. That and the Legend of Bagger Vance. It's my
Nice.
favorite. I love all the symmetry with the Legend of Bagger Vance, and because hey, all of us lose our swing, and hey, you lost your swing, Jonah. I just love that, but Hoosiers tells a story that we all can relate to, and I laugh when Barbara Hershey got on and told Gene Hackman, said, "I don't want him coaching at 50." I go, "Man, that was rough. 50's young. That's rough, Barbara." But the Hoosiers is just, and it's one of those things like Amazing Grace, you never get tired of. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite place to travel?
I'm not gonna enter. I Ruidoso. This is Carla and I's spot. It's not too far. It's cool. We remember coming here when as a child and
Yeah.
love all the things to do. And it really is. We don't care about, we've done a cruise. We're one and done on cruises. And I don't care about dying in another country. And so I'm good. Probably go up to some other places, historical places, Boston and different areas in the next couple of years. But we really and truly enjoy our time traveling because we get to talk a lot when I'm not sleeping. No, I don't drive. And so we love
I don't
Ruidoso.
either. My wife drives.
My wife
It's
drives.
it's
It's
more of a
better for her
control thing.
health.
Yeah, if I'm driving, I'm a good driver. I don't understand how this happened, but if I'm driving and she sees something, and she'll
Yeah.
grab my arm, and this was years ago. I said, "I think for us, it would just be better if you drove because I don't wanna get frustrated, and I want you to feel good." And I fall asleep pretty quick in the car when it's going, and so I love that.
Well, Carla drives, does an excellent job and tremendous. And also, I get to be on the phone that something comes up, and so anyway, works for us. Hey, that's the deal. Hey, we have a good culture, Matt.
You and your wife, good culture.
We have
Hey,
good culture.
last one, and then we'll end it and then get you out of here.
Thank you.
In basketball, who's the greatest of all time as a player? Who's the GOAT?
Tim Duncan.
Okay.
Okay, because he changed the franchise, because he was unselfish, and because he made Greg Popovich, and Greg Popovich knows he does and gives credit for him. But I just love how he played, and I know I'm biased and it's recent bias because being in San Antonio, but remember he took in Manu, and just think about all the things that all the other great players have, and then he's still in San Antonio. He stayed put. I think for a basketball coach and someone that feels this is me, it's hard not to really appreciate the entire body of work of Tim Duncan.
Coach, this has been so enjoyable for me and an honor to get to have this time with you. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for players and coaches over the years and for basketball in the state of Texas. Man, really, really love this time.
Man, I appreciate the invite, and hopefully soon we can do it again. Round two.
Coach, if because we didn't really get to many questions at all, which is always the mark of a great talk. when it just flows, I'm going to hold you to that if that's
Oh,
okay.
well, you can tell how much I enjoy this. So
Yeah.
I will say yes. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing the true origins of Jamodi. I am better now because I learned that because I had no clue, Coach, where it came from. So that's awesome.
That's why you can't get the license plate, Matt, because I've
That's
got
right.
it.
There's only one. Can I be Jamodi 2? Can I put a 2 at the end of it or
You can put 3 or whatever.
oh,
Just
3,
as
yeah.
long as
Because you're 2. You're
yeah.
2 and he's 1, right.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll let
Coach,
you hey, because if you take 2, then that means I'm 1 and Verdi's gonna get on to me because I didn't tell the
yeah, so
story.
I'll go 4 or 5. I don't really care. Coach, thank you again, man, so
Thank you.
much.
Enjoy.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.